Hey everybody, my name is Minda Hart and Happy New Year. I can't believe we are in 2024. It's a new era, it's a new you. I hope you're saying it's a new you. It's a better you, a better me, and we're just happy that we all made it here to see another day. Put in the chat what your word is. If you follow me here on LinkedIn, I said that my word for this year is intention. I want to be intentional with everything I do, not just doing it just because there's some greater plan that's leading and building the brick to the thing. And so being intentional with my time, with my health, with my relationships, with my work, and with my spirit life, just the whole nine. And so last year, I think my word, now I forget, was ease. And it was one of the hardest years of my life. So I am leaning into this intention, and I'm just excited to connect with you, commune with you, continue to build community with you. I am writing my fourth book. I can't even believe it right now. And so I'm not going to be doing LinkedIn Lives as often, at least for the first 2 quarters, but periodically we go and drop a little sauce in there on you. But every month, starting in February of this year, we'll do the book club like we did last year. So keep connected with us. So again, I'm just so happy to see you. And today I am super excited because we have a friend of the show. And whenever we have her on the show, it's magic. And so if you're not familiar with Kanika Tolver, she is a public speaker. She is a strategist. She is a tech enthusiast. She is that girl. And her birthday is this week. So let's drop some love in the chat and give her some birthday love, that God is just doing really great things for her and through her. And so we're just excited that she's going to drop some knowledge on us today. And at the end, we'll have our affirmation from my partner in shine, my brother, my twin, Mike Hartz. And but today we're talking about your confidence, right? We could have opened up a show and said, oh, let's upskill, let's do this, let's do that. But what about that confidence? Because, child, last year might have tried you, and you're like, or maybe you got laid off, or maybe you're rethinking about a career pivot, whatever it is, you know what to do. You go to do the LinkedIn course, you go take your, courses off Instagram, any influencers you follow, you take the course. But what about your confidence? That's what we're talking about today, because sometimes we need to upskill in our confidence to remind us who the heck we are. And so I'm going to bring Kanika to the stage today, and we are going to talk about how do we regain our power. And all of that is through healing as well, because as we all know too, there's been a lot of attacks in the DEI space. There's been a lot of attacks on Black women in the workplace, particularly women across the country. And so it's important that we rebrand our thinking, rebrand our confidence. And so we're going to talk about today. Kanika's got some gems to drop, and I can't wait to get into the conversation. Mike, can you bring Kanika to the stage so we can get this conversation popping? Hey, Kanika, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, Minda?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
And happy early birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love that. So before we get into this conversation, for those who might be sleeping or under a rock, tell everybody who you are in your own words and what you do.
Hey everybody, my name is Kanika Tolver. I am from the Washington, D.C. area. I am the author of an amazing book called Career Rehab. I'm the founder of Career Rehab. I am the Twitter Spaces queen, if you follow me on Twitter. But I'm super excited to be here to talk about rebranding your confidence.
I just love how that sounds. Put a 1 in the chat if you could use some rebranding with your confidence. Again, no matter what lever you are on the ladder, we will always need a refresh in our confidence, right? You're doing something new. You're going for the new promotion. You're changing careers. You're buying a new house. You're moving a block. Whatever the case may be, you're always going to need that rebrand. So Kanika, let's start here. And first of all, you all need to grab Kanika's book. So we'll drop it in the chat so you can add that to your reading list.
It will definitely help them rebrand their confidence.
It definitely will, 1,000%. So you and I know what that might mean. But for people out there, why do you think rebranding your confidence is so important?
I think rebranding your confidence is so important because it's a topic that really we don't talk about a lot. We are always conditioned to go to college, get certifications, get all these credentials. But a lot of us, especially Black women, we have PhDs, we have master's degrees, we have all of this work experience, but our confidence is suffering, right? Because we can't show up for ourselves when we don't have confidence. So I'll always tell people that, it's okay to have the credentials, but the real root of the problem and to get to a place where you're comfortable with your personal brand and with yourself is to build a level of confidence, right? So I think confidence is like firm trust in believing in something, whether that's something like we're confident in certain brands, we're confident in certain celebrities, we're confident in certain things that we do, but we don't have that same confidence and firm trust within ourselves. And let's be honest, I have struggled with trusting myself to dream bigger, to take on new opportunities, because sometimes I probably had some self-sabotage. I probably had some insecurities. And I think that really having a better relationship with myself has really like helped me to look at myself in a stronger way.
I love that so much because so right. I mean, it's part of that imposter syndrome that likes to pop up, right? And say, oh, you're not that person. You can't do this. You don't have the same credentials that Kanika has. How can you talk about tech, right? I remember when I first started my company back in 2015, I considered myself in the tech world because I had a website. I was doing virtual boot camps back then, but people didn't give me the same credit as somebody who was coding, right? As somebody was doing that. And so my confidence got shaky. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm not, doing tech, or maybe I'm not doing that. I wasn't branding myself in that way, but I was part of the tech community, right? And I think sometimes we let outside influences and we talk to ourselves wrong. We don't talk to ourselves nice. Therefore, our confidence gets shaky. And so I love what you said about we'll have put our confidence in our favorites, right? But part of it is understanding that you got to be your favorite. You got to put your confidence in your own self, right?
Exactly. I think, we always think about credibility, and we want credibility to come from external validation or from other people. But it first starts with us clapping for ourselves. And a lot of times we don't feel comfortable with clapping for ourselves. We think that, we shouldn't be. I feel like everybody needs a little bit of intellectual swag, right? I like to call it intellectual swag because you have to have, we all have all of these education and experience, but your own swag, what you bring different and unique to the table, that's confidence. That makes you feel a little bossed up about yourself. And a lot of times we don't do that because of bad experiences. Sometimes it comes from just not being healed from bad professional experiences and personal experiences.
1,000%. I 100 wholeheartedly agree with every single part of that. So let's get into how we do that. You talk about 4 phases to rebranding somebody's confidence. And listen, if you're watching us live, put a clap in the chat. Put either, if you have the emoji, put the clap hands. If you can spell it out, put clap in there, because we got to clap for ourselves. That was already a bar, Kanika. So thank you for
Clap
that.
for yourself. Clap, clap.
Clap for yourself. When no one else is clapping, you be the person in the front row for you, cheering yourself on. So let's jump into it. What are the 4 phases of rebranding? Grab your pens, get your notebooks, get your cell phone, put these down.
So the first phase, I came up with these 4 phases of rebranding your confidence. The first thing is you're going to have to rebrand your relationship with yourself, right? We got to become a groupie of our own goals. We have to start sweating ourselves, right? And I think we sometimes don't do that enough because it's just not in our community. We're not really taught a lot about self-love and self-care and looking at ourselves differently. So that's the first step, is rebranding your relationship with you. The second thing is rebranding your relationship with others. Some relationships may have to end, right? Some relationships are not healthy. Some relationships that we thought was good, they're not so good. And how are they helping us or hindering us? The third phase is rebranding your boundaries, rebranding your relationship with your boundaries. Because if you get yourself together and you get them other relationships together with those people, you can create healthy boundaries for yourself. So certain things won't be triggering, certain things won't be bothering you, certain things won't be stopping you from exceeding in your goals, because you won't be listening to negative thoughts about yourself and you won't be dealing with negative people. And then the last thing is rebranding your relationship with your career and business goals. Because there's somebody out here watching this that is an entrepreneur, or they're a professional, or they're like me, they do both, right? I have to rebrand my relationship with my business and my career, but I can't do those things correctly if I don't get myself together, I don't get the relationship with others together, and I don't create strong, healthy boundaries.
Listen, I apologize to you right now, Kanika, because my tambourine is in the other room. But for those who watch the show, this is a tambourine moment. And if I had it, I would shake it, because you have to rebuild with yourself. If there's others that you need to cut off or bring into new relationships, do that. Boundaries, with a capital B. We all need to have them in our life.
All caps.
All caps. It needs to be in your career toolkit. When they tell you what's in your career toolkit, I want you to say boundaries. Okay, I want you to say boundaries are in the toolkit. And listen, rebranding your career and business. And I love that what you said, Kanika, is it can be yes and. You can be an entrepreneur and you can be an intrapreneur. You can exist as a multi-hyphenate. And so I love that. Let's dig into what it looks like to rebrand. Let's dig a little deeper with yourself, because as we're talking about confidence, let's get into who we are. We can point the finger at who else don't have confidence, what somebody's doing, but let's focus on the man in the mirror. Okay.
I actually had that in my notes, because I had prepared some notes prior to this. So rebranding, your relationship with yourself really is taking a look at yourself in the mirror and figuring out what you like about yourself and what you dislike about yourself. And I really believe confidence is not just exterior, it's an inside job too. So it's not really about, oh, I need to go to the gym and lose weight, or, oh, I need to change my hair, or, oh, I need to, wear these designer clothes. I don't really feel like those are they're a part of the package, but not the entire package. So I really believe that having a relationship with yourself means that you have to focus on self-care. You have to focus on healing. You can't build from brokenness. You can't continue to try to build from brokenness. And I think we have been so conditioned to keep going and keep going. There's going to be some time where you have to take a break and you have to have some level of restoration. But I also believe rebranding yourself and having a good relationship with yourself is getting in tune to what makes you tick. Like we really need to get into our hobbies. We really need to get into the things that we enjoy doing, whether it's even unconventional. Like, we don't even have to care that somebody else don't like that, right? Building confidence to say, I'm going to take a solo trip. I'm going to learn a new language. I'm going to go to museums. Whatever you like to do, stop waiting for other people to join you. You may have to do these things alone. I also believe exercising and eating right and getting proper sleep. We talk about sleep like every year, but I think sleep is like it plays a huge part of like the anxiety, that feeling anxious. When you don't get enough sleep, for me, I feel really anxious. I feel off. So I think getting proper sleep is super important too. Those are just a few things.
I love that. And everyone, we're going to drop Kanika's information in the chat so you can follow her here on LinkedIn, but you can also follow her on her other social platforms, because I'm sure she's going to be talking about more in depth about this year. So we want to make sure that you are up to date. And you're right. Sleep will change your life. When I don't have enough sleep, I get cranky, and nobody is safe. Okay?
I'm not that nice girl. No.
No, I get cranky. I just want to be left alone. So,
and one thing, I was talking on the phone with my sister today, and she said, because I said, I'm about to get online, and I'm about to work with Menda on this new topic, and she said to me, because I'm gonna give her credit, because I'm not gonna steal her quote. She said, "You can't rebrand until you unpack." And she was saying, how are we rebranding if we're not unpacking our trauma? We're not, like you would say, pack light, right? We're trying to rebrand and take all this stuff with us, and that's not healthy.
I love that. Shout out to your sister. You can't, you got to unpack. And I think part of that confidence, right? Rebranding your confidence is saying, what is the root cause of what is causing my crankiness, right? It's not that I'm just tired, but X, Y, and Z, right? Unpacking what it is. Yeah, if I'm going to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and getting up at 6, I'm never going to be my best confidence, right? I'm going to be like, ooh, I'm not prepared. I'm not this, I'm not
But
that.
you're
And so it's
frazzled, you're gonna feel
frazzled.
all over the place, So yeah,
Yeah.
and like I say, therapy too. I know we don't talk about that
Yes.
enough, but you can't be right within until you get some therapy. So
Listen, get all your tools in the toolkit. Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask you, you mentioned about rebranding our relationship with boundaries. What does that look like?
So I think boundaries is super important. I think when we have boundaries, we can actually be able to make healthy decisions about where we're going. But when we have boundaries, we let everybody and every little thing come in and distract us and get us off track. And then somehow our calculator or our GPS, I would say, keeps recalculating. We can't get to the place that we're trying to get to because we're allowing different people to come and to distract us, or we're allowing different things. We're not even saying no. Like, you know what? As I get older, I'm not gonna tell you my age, but as I get older, no is a complete sentence. Why do we feel like we have to explain things to people? I'm at a point now where I'm going to say no with no explanation. And I think when you create boundaries, I feel like boundaries are required and then the battles will be optional. Because if you're creating boundaries, then you're not having to fight all of these different distractions. You're not having to fight explaining yourself to different people. So I think boundaries is super important. I think creating rituals and doing routine things is super important for creating boundaries. You can't create boundaries without rituals and a routine schedule. So, what do you think about boundaries? Have you struggled with creating boundaries for yourself?
I have, and I think that part of the frustration, part of the lack of confidence, and many times is when we don't have appropriate boundaries, right? And I think I see boundaries at twofold: internal and external, right? Because we
Mm,
could have unhealthy boundaries with ourselves too, but it
mm,
goes back to saying no or saying yes, right? And I think that part um, for me is very important, but also looking at going back to your relationships. Um, we all want to have healthy relationships, but if we don't have appropriate boundaries, then it's hard to have healthy relationships, right? Then we get frustrated, then we get cranky, then we get all these other, then the trauma starts to, take hold of us. And so I think that boundaries just, I know it sounds easy. I know it sounds like cliche when people say, oh, just get some boundaries, but boundaries is going to be one of the hardest things that most of us will struggle with. So
yeah.
once we understand step by step, small acts, right? Maybe you're not ready to say, jump off the roof and be like, boundaries with everybody. But who's that one person that that you need to establish a boundary, right? Not
Right.
even maybe, Kanika, some people aren't ready for some boundaries. Start with one.
Right.
Okay, what is the
Right.
one boundary? But it's going to save your life.
Yeah, I think even having boundaries with your partner, having boundaries with your family, with your parents, with your siblings, even having boundaries with friends, but even having boundaries with your job. I think that's the difficult thing, right? Because we think that if we create all these boundaries, that we're not going to be doing a great job at work. And I think actually you could do a better job at work when you create those boundaries and you are healthy and you are not cranky and you're not sleepy and you feel confident to show up. Like I know when I have a good night's sleep, I know when I take my lunch break, or I know when I work out in the morning prior to work, I feel more confident because I've showed up for myself first instead of trying to just show up for the job. So I think it's important to definitely have healthy boundaries.
Absolutely. And just to kind of piggyback on something you said, it made me think about a friend who, during the height of the pandemic, they were, like many of us, working from home. and their schedule after the quote unquote after the pandemic, they were in a hybrid schedule. But when they were working from home, they were in back to back to back to back meetings that many times they weren't even able to take a bathroom break, right? I remember being on the phone with my friend and they were saying, "Oh, I haven't used the bathroom in like 6 hours because," and I'm like, "Why? You're at home. Why aren't you using the bathroom?" And whose fault is that? And I said, you are at home, you need to use the bathroom. That's part of your well-being. I said, you got to create a boundary to say, I can't accept back-to-back meetings if it doesn't allow me the space to go use the bathroom, or to say, hey, I need to step away for a second. Like giving permission to set, and that's a reasonable boundary, right? Kanika, we're not asking people to set unrealistic expectations for anybody else or themselves, but you deserve humanity in your home, in the workplace, all those sorts of things. And so again, sometimes we're putting it back on somebody else when these are things that we have to take control so that we establish what healthy looks like, right?
We need to learn to sign our own permission slip. We need to stop waiting for somebody to sign our permission slip to say that we can do the things that are really the things that are normal, the things that are going to keep us healthy. I think we have to take control back. And I think confidence is affirming, trusting yourself that you're making the right decision that's going to be beneficial for you.
My invisible tambourine is clacking right now. So I love that so much. So let's say we're in the new year, right? And again, this is something that each of you can revisit. I want you to, when the broadcast ends, I want you to go to YouTube, put in Secure the Seat, bookmark this conversation, because maybe even later today, later next week, that confidence going to get shaky. You're going to need the reminder, and I want you to refresh this. This can be part of your toolkit. So Kanika, we're in the new year. Once someone has started to rebrand their confidence, how do they take this new confidence and execute in these various areas that you talked to us about?
Yeah, the execution is the hardest part. Like, we talk about confidence. I think the first thing is the fact that we're in the new year. We need to stop getting overly hyped that we in the new year. We need to like pipe down, chill out. You got like 11 more months left in the year, and we need to be making incremental changes that are going to lead to bigger changes. I think sometimes we get overly hyped in January, and then we're talking about this, and then by March we fell off the bandwagon with everything that we decided that we were going to do. So I think it's like creating a plan with incremental changes, giving yourself grace, making sure that you make small progress and not stop thinking so big about your progress having to be so complete. I think it's important to know that when it comes to your career and your business is that, you need to build a solid team that's confident in your ability to do this. Sometimes we try to lean onto our own confidence, but we need to build relationships and build a network with other people. For me, I hired an accountability coach, Ryan, right? He definitely is confident in his ability to help me, but at the same time, I needed somebody that was going to push me, to hold me accountable, right? But also somebody who was going to, he sees so many great things in me, but bounce great ideas off of me. So we need a confident team. We can't go into this thing as far as our businesses and even with our careers. We may need a confident career coach. We may even need, I'm hiring help this year, okay? I'm getting a virtual assistant. So I think when we think about confidence, we should not think about confidence as about everything is our responsibility. In order to truly execute, we're going to need additional help. And I think that's the important thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hire additional help.
I love that. And thank you for sharing. I often say, like a broken record, our success is not a solo sport, and we need the team, right? We need the squad. We need the confidence team. So think about this week and beyond, who needs to be on your team to help you build that confidence. Like recently, I'll have a little vulnerable moment with you all here is I was looking at, the number one thing I do for work is a public speaker, right? So I'm in different spaces, I'm speaking, and I started to think about what would make me feel more confident going into this new year, leveling up as a public speaker. I know that I do a good job, but how do I get to the great? How do I get to the next level, right? Because there's obviously more confidence, more skill setting, getting deeper, honing in on our craft. There's room for improvement. And I looked at the slides I use, right? And I started to think, you know what? I'd be a bad fill in the blank if I had like these, really amazing slides when I'm using slide decks, right? Not ones necessarily that I put together, they get me through the talk, but what would
you
it
need
look
some
like
popping, huh?
I need to show up in the building like
you need to show up like
we're in
Beyonce
sync.
showed up on tour.
Exactly. The visuals.
The
Okay.
visuals.
I was like, I need the visuals.
Yeah.
The visuals to match what I'm doing. And right now I'm working with someone to revamp my slide deck, because that's also my calling card when I step on stage. It's not about what shoes I have on, what earrings I got, what bag I put down in the chair. It's about the whole package, right? What makes everything pop. And so think about, what are those small acts that we all can be doing to assess our lives, to say, where are the areas that I can build confidence that would make me feel my best, right? That would make me feel my Sasha Fierce or whatever, whatever it is. And so I think that there's always room. And so if you're thinking, oh, I have low confidence or this, that, and the other, we've all experienced it, but we don't have to stay there. Kanika dropped the gems on you today that we can move forward and we could do it. But you got to clap for yourself, because if you ain't clapping for yourself, how can you expect somebody else to clap for you?
But I like the fact that you assessed something that you wanted to change. And I think that we have to start off with assessment, assessing the things that we can, the quick wins. Like sometimes we think about everything has to be big. So I think, building your confidence is saying, okay, what can I assess and what can I properly change? And what I like is the fact that you decided to do something that is going to, you invested in yourself. That's another thing. A lot of times we think confidence not going to completely just come from us or come from your therapist. You're going to have to invest in yourself, and you're going to have to figure out what is worthy of the investment that's going to take your accomplishments, your goals, with your objectives for 2024 to the next level. And I'm glad that you hired someone, because sometimes we don't have all the answers. That's another thing. Confidence doesn't mean that we have to have all the answers.
Yeah, absolutely. We say, oftentimes, many of us say that we want more, right? We want the promotion, we want the new title, we want this. I say, oh, I want to be on this stage, but I can't expect to be on the top of the top stages with my 10-year-old slides. I'm gonna still get the job done. I'm gonna still knock it out the park. But how much more confident, how much more will someone in that audience who sees that be like, okay, yeah. And that when I'm confident in the whole situation, then they're confident, right? And that brings in business. People notice you in ways. It sets yourself apart, right, from the crowd. And I think it's something, no matter where we are in our careers, every single one of us has the ability. This is free, y'all. What I mean is confidence, the access to it. It doesn't cost you 3 payments of $19.99. None of that. Okay. It's accessible right now.
Yeah. So I love that you're talking about digital footprint. Like, if you want to do better, you want things better, you're going to create a different digital footprint, whether that's your resume, whether that's your LinkedIn profile, whether that's redoing kanikatolver.com, what the slides, yes, the slides, the business plan. I mean, everything that you started and didn't finish last year, you need to go ahead and revisit that and revamp that.
Revamp it. Somebody's sitting right now watching us, Kanika, then they're staring at that 5-year-old resume. Revamp that thing. Okay. You're going to feel more confident.
You're going to feel more confident. Facelift like yesterday. Y'all focusing on other types of cosmetic surgeries, but sometimes our LinkedIn profiles and our resumes and our websites and our slides, and even sometimes our communication skills. I think about confidence when I have to sit before hiring people. You can't go into the job interview with your head down. You gotta stand tall and secure your spot. And I think that's another thing is we have to talk nice to ourselves, but we got to make sure that when we're interacting with other people, they know, yeah, we that girl, we that dude. Yeah, we've been doing this. And we have to practice having that level of confidence. In this job market, somebody said on Twitter today that I had a tweet, you're going to need credentials, confidence, and connections to survive in this job market. I said credentials and confidence, but the other person said and connections. You can't be having no little connections. You need to expand your network.
That part, last part I want to say about that is I had another friend who was on a hiring committee, and there was a gentleman who was part of the candidate pool, very, very strong on paper. But when he got inside the room, he didn't look anybody in the eye. And when the hiring committee had met to assess who should move forward, this, that, and the other, she thought he was amazing because he had the most credentials, right? He had the most tenure in the position, but everyone else in the room was like, he never looked me in the eye. I don't know if he could do this. He didn't have interpersonal skills, and that those things are important.
They matter.
Right? They matter.
That somebody could look stronger, could have all. That's why I say credentials matter, but confidence matched up with credentials makes you unstoppable. Like somebody, when you have confidence and you have those communication skills, they're gonna say, "Oh, she can get the job done. She can get the job done, or she has the ability to communicate to get the job done. Even if he or she doesn't know the information, she has the ability to leverage her writing skills, her communication skills to get the job done." That's so more important to me than you having all of this amazing degrees and experience, but you can't display it.
Listen, again, like I said, when we finish this show, it's gonna populate on YouTube. I want you to share it right now. I want you to tag somebody in the chat, share it right now. I often say, if you know somebody who needs this information, everybody needs this information for right now, because we just need the reminder, right? And even the person that you think is like so confident they couldn't even add any more sauce of confidence, they need it too, right? Because you just never know what's going to make that shaky, or what comes down the pipeline later. So you can never, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Keep the confidence and have that reserve of it. Kanika, where can people find you online?
Everybody can find me at kanikatolver.com. You can find me on the internet at all social media platforms at Kanika Tolver.
Love it, love it, love it. Also, I can't let you leave without a couple of questions. I am a lover of grits and rap lyrics. And for those who are grits lovers, there's only one way, in my opinion, and it's my show, so my opinion matters, is with salt.
Yes, only salt and butter. No sugar over here.
No sugar. You go make your hot cereal somewhere else, but this is how we're eating ours. But with a good bowl of grits is a great rap lyric. Right now, what is one of your favorite rap lyrics and why?
So, Pink Friday 2 just came out. And if you've watched previous interviews with me and Minda, I've always either brought a Nas or Nicki. Queens, New York is in the building, of course. So I'm a Barb, and I really like this song called Falling For You on her new album. And I was just like thinking of a lyric when we talked about doing this, and I was just like working out and like, oh, I had to like pull back the lyrics, and I was like, let me go look at the lyrics, because I think that's what she said. So in this particular song, she says, "Picture saying that you the queen and knowing it's a fact." And I was like, she always challenges who has the throne, but I said, picture me or you saying that we a queen and we know it's a fact. Like, that's confidence right there. Like, like if somebody, it's men and women watching, but picture saying that you the king or queen and knowing it's a fact. Like, when you know that's a fact, that's the bold confidence that Nicki always brings to her songs. But what if we brought that to our business, knowing it's a fact that when I get them slides done over, I'm going to hit that big stage. Knowing it's a fact that when Kanika launches some of her new projects in 2024, it's a fact that it's going to be a successful launch. Somebody's watching saying, I know that I am doing something great with my degree or with my experience, but knowing it's a fact that you can actually go in that job interview and display and tell the story. Like you have to we have to know that we're kings and queens of everything that we want to do and knowing it's a fact.
I love that. And when you said, I knew you were either going to do a Nicki or a Nas, I in my heart. But when you said that particular song, I wondered if you were going to say that line, because that really
Oh,
hit
you know
home for
that
me.
lyric?
Yes, when she said that in that song,
Oh,
it
your
hit me.
sister, your true sister.
I
Yeah.
was like, I loved it. And so I
And
want you all.
this one more
Oh,
part I wanted to share, one more
mhm.
sentence. And then at the end of the song, she says, "You gotta catch me while I care. I ain't calling for you." Basically, that's the boundaries. You gotta catch me while I care. Because when I don't care no more, once the boundaries set, it's set. And I like the fact that she's talking about you gotta catch me when I care. Sometimes we care so much about things and our boundaries don't really be set properly. And I think we have to be very intentional about what we care about.
Bars, 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 bars. I love that so much. And listen, again, confidence is one of those things that's like a muscle. It's easy for some of us. We can lift the weight, no big deal. But others, we have to keep at it, keep at it. And I want you to keep at it because, like Kanika said, like Nikki said, it's a fact. I want you to put fact inside of the chat right now because we're speaking faith. That's what we're doing. Okay. So even if you don't feel like you're confident today, it's a fact. We're putting the faith into motion. If you don't believe it about yourself, me and Kanika and Mike got enough faith for you to believe that it's a fact that you are that person. You are going to get what you deserve this year in all the areas of your life that are important to you. But you got to have that, got to redo some rebranding and figure out and assess, right? Because again, what confidence looks like to Kanika may look different than what it looks like to me, what it looks like to you, right? So assess, what does confidence look like for you? I love that. Kanika, we're in a new era. It's a new year. You know, people are in and out of the workplace because they want to be, and sometimes because of factors beyond their control, right? How do we make the workplace better than we found it?
I forgot about this question. Yeah, I've been a family friend of the show for a while. I think we talk about confidence. I think we have to have the ability to know when it's time to remove ourselves. And I think that comes from confidence, right? We have to be intentional about saying, has this career relationship ended? Have it's run its course? Is the tenure over? Why am I still here knowing that it's been toxic? And sometimes we try to talk a lot about, leadership, but sometimes we can't change leadership. Sometimes we can't change toxic work environments that's been this way for decades. We have to learn how to build our own confidence within ourselves and say, it's done. I'm ready to move on. I want to move on anyway because I know there's something better for me. There's a better career relationship for me. And I don't want to be in a situation where I get dumped before I have the ability to dump them. Because we dumping jobs for real. And we should be dumping bad jobs anyway because they're not serving us the way that we deserve to be served.
Listen, Kanika, I appreciate you. You know that. You came through, dropped all the gems that we needed to get ourselves together. That it's January, but like you said at the top of the show, we don't want people to burn out by next month, by the end of the month, right? We want you to hold on to this confidence, and when it gets shaky, you listen to this again. And what I'm going to do is after this airs, I'm going to pull the audio, and I haven't put content on my audio podcast in a long time, but I'm going to put this as the audio because we need to keep feeding ourselves this reminder. And if you're around people that don't feed that, assess, right?
Yeah.
Assess, because also you got to put yourself in the rooms where people are reminding you that that's your person. And so, Kanika, I'm rooting for you. As always, thank you for how you show up and your leadership. please go and connect at kanikatolver.com, buy the books, buy the courses, whatever she's got, get it.
No courses yet. No courses
Okay,
yet.
okay.
But I want to say thank you again for bringing me on your show. Thanks to you and Michael. And I just want to leave you guys with this one little message, that you only need faith the size of a mustard seed. So, you know, it's so small, right? So we can build from that. We can build from that little bit of faith. There's a lot of big confidence that can grow from that. But we have to, you know, we have to plant those seeds, and we have to grow that confidence.
Plant them today. Start right now. Thank you, Kanika.
Thanks.
All right. We're going to bring Mike up now so he can give us, listen, that was a great show. I'm thinking about the conversation that we had. I'm going to bring Mike up right now. Hey, brother, how are you?
What's up, sis?
Wasn't that a great show? Kanika was giving us that good buffet. Okay, she gave it a little bit. I'm full.
That's right. That was amazing. That just what we needed.
Just what we needed. So bring us on home with, because we won't do a show for a little while, we made this a little bit longer so we could really dive in. Give us some affirmations to hold us for a little while till we come back again.
Yes. So I want to set the stage. The affirmation for this year for the show is, what if you created a world that you liked and you lived in that world? I want to say it slow. What if you created a world that you liked and you lived in that world? I was talking to someone, I work a lot in the transportation industry, and I was talking to two truck drivers, and they were African-American truck drivers, and they had been in the industry for over 20 years. And when they found out that some of the people they were working with didn't like them after all these years, it changed their whole mood. It changed everything about them. It changed everything that they thought of the industry, everything that they thought they were accepted, and everything. And I posed the question to them that said, what if that situation didn't happen? What if that didn't happen? How would you think of yourself? You would still like transportation. You would still like what you're doing. You let one situation, you were living in your world. That was your reality for years, that everyone liked them, that they were on top of the world. They lived in that reality. And once that reality started to be challenged and shaken, they threw everything out the window and said, I don't want to do anything anymore. I don't want to. And that's what we do in life. We let outside circumstances and other people's emotional seeds and other people's drama and what everybody else has going on, we will be fine. And then there's that one or two people in our life that change our whole mood. Some people we don't care about. They could trash us. They could talk about us. We're like, I don't care about so-and-so. But there's one or two people that affect our whole emotional being. And we have to figure out in this new year, in this new time, in this new season, what world we're creating and how we can live in that world, how we can make our world a better place. We're too busy trying to change the world. Sometimes the world doesn't want to be changed. We're trying to change the world. And I'm here. Not all of us are called to the world, but I know I'm called to my world, right in between these two ears. That's the world I'm called to do first, because if I don't take care of my world, I cannot take care of anybody else's world. I wish I could preach one time. I know this ain't the show to preach, but I wish I'm kind of getting excited in here. If you had that tambourine, I'd be slapping that thing all around this room. Listen to me very closely. Did anybody hear the wisdom and the knowledge that was dropped on the show today about confidence? It all pointed toward making your world better. We cannot change every human being. We cannot change uncles and aunts that we've known for 40 and 50 years. We cannot change. We're always trying to change outside, but we forget, why does all these things trigger us? All these things trigger us because we're not dealing with our world first. Our world has to be dealt with. So all these different things cannot affect us so much. When you start to focus on your own healing in your own world, I don't have time for your problems. I don't have time for your mess. I don't have time for you to come with the same thing. I've told you, if you don't want to listen to my advice, I have to let it go. I can't let you trigger me. I have to get help for this. I have to get healing for this. You don't like me going to a therapist. You don't like me going to church. You don't like me seeing a pastor. That's your world. But my world, I got to take care of it. So our affirmation, what if you created a world that you liked and you lived there? I think you would be a lot happier in 2024. Thank you, Minda.
You know, the day that I don't have my tambourine, Kanika drops the revival, you do the revival. We got a 5-day revival right here in 45-minute period right now. I want you to write that question down. Say it again, Michael. So for the people in the back.
What if you created a world that you liked and you lived in that world? Not the world your aunt likes or your husband likes or your wife likes or your children. I'm talking about what brings you peace and you live in that. Because at the end of the day, people are going to say, when you fall out, I've said this a million times, when you fall out, people are going to say, man, you should have rested. you should have sat down somewhere. Why didn't? Because you were pushing me. You were telling me to do this. You were telling me to start that. You were telling me to do that. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Create your world inside of here and live there.
Listen, I want you all to grab hold of everything that was dropped. There's no coincidence that you were here today. Tag somebody in the chat, because the entire show from start to finish, each of us needed for today and for the rest of the year in our lives. Create the world. And that starts with confidence, knowing that you deserve a world that you can live in, that you like. Okay. And so Kanika and Mike didn't talk about this. It wasn't, but she passed the baton to him. And, you know, I'm honored that I got to be in the space to hear it firsthand. We get that. You have a choice. We all have choices. You get to choose today, red or green pill. Okay. You get to decide what it is you want and create that world. We're not saying, oh, I want to live in a world where I don't pay my bills and I run my credit cards up and then I don't have nowhere to live. We're not saying create that kind of world. We're saying create a world that you like, that brings peace, that brings prosperity, that brings longevity, right? That is impactful. What does that look like? We weren't placed on this earth just to go through traumas and dramas. You were placed on this to live a good life, but it requires something of you to get to that life that you say you want. And that takes courage, right? So listen, we gave it to you. We fed you. I hope you're full. If you need a bib, wipe your lips, because what it's on your fingers. Get the napkin, because we gave it to you nice and dirty today for you to go into your week, to have what you need to go into the year. These are survival skills is what we're talking about today. So Mike, thank you. If you need additional affirmations, go to mikehartz.com. He has them there. And again, tag somebody here, because Secure the Seat was real live today. And I hope you got what you needed. And again, I'm going to extrapolate the audio and put it on the podcast so that you can listen to it and feed your soul for the rest of the year. All right. So keep securing your seat. Go to mindahartz.com. If one of the things that you're looking to do this year is get that book out. Oh, you want to be more confident when you go into the room, but you don't have no product. You want a product. Go to mindahartz.com and join the Writers Retreat if you want to get that book out into the world. But I'm just so proud of you. You're here. You're doing it. And like I said, keep securing your seat. Have a great week.